Hey everybody, here for 6:30 yoga. Mark Cormier with the Bay Club. Let me adjust the camera here. And we'll get started at 6:30, so give it a couple minutes. Hey there, hi Marissa. All right. All right. Well, welcome to 6:30 Movement Flow Yoga. My name is Mark Cormier. I'm with the Bay Club. Feel free to practice along. You might be able to replay this video a little bit later on if now's not exactly the time. Having said that, practicing along would be awesome. Anyway, let's start standing, finding our feet. From our feet, finding our legs. From our legs, finding our spine. Relax shoulders tall through the crown. Without straining the neck, a slight tuck of a chin as we start to draw our energy inward. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart, and we can start just by watching our breath as it flows in and as it flows out. Arriving here on our yoga mats, ready for an evening yoga practice. From this place of just observing your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation, matched by a long, slow exhalation. Long, smooth breaths in. Long, smooth breath out. As you breathe in, I invite you to find a full body breath, bringing the air to the base of the belly, the top of the chest, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your bodies. And as you breathe out, either keeping the belly relaxed or engaging the low abs as you draw the low belly in and up towards the heart to squeeze a little more air out. And anytime we're in a place where our low back needs support, this abdominal engagement is a great technique. So long, smooth breaths in. Long, smooth breaths out. To this deeper, fuller breath, moving towards the Ujjayi or ocean breath, a go-to breath in many flow practices, a slight constriction to the base of the throat, adding a slightly audible quality and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice tonight, letting this audible quality, the sound and feel of your breath, the Ujjayi breath, the ocean breath, be a focus for your practice. Always coming back to that sound and feel as we flow through our practice tonight. Now taking the tip of the tongue to the hard palate just behind the teeth, trying to keep that tongue to hard palate connection throughout the practice. Jiva Bandha, the tongue loop, keeping our jaws relaxed and connecting front and back planes of our bodies. And finally, with your lips closed, getting a slight smile to your face, opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Keeping it simple, warming up our shoulders, connecting movement to breath, bringing the arms up overhead, inhaling. On the exhale, hands by our side. 2 more times like this. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Adding a forward fold and a back bend. Inhaling, arms up overhead. On the exhale, leading with the heart as you fold. Take a breath to find length as hands find knees, thighs, or shins. Take a breath, folding one more time, keeping that sense of length in your spine. Inhaling, knees soft, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, standing tall. 2 more times like that. Inhaling, arms up. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again, squeezing a little more air out. Inhaling, filling your lungs up with the breath, arms up and over the head. On the exhale, standing tall. Last one like this. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. Sun Salutation A, Surya Namaskar A. I'll suggest not including vinyasa on this first one. We'll just bring it back to down dog. So inhaling, arms up overhead. On the exhale, finding a forward fold. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, grounding down through the hands, either stepping or jumping the feet back, finding your down dog, long through the arms, long through the legs, long through the spine, rich and full. And we'll hold this for 5 or 6 breaths. Remembering that full body breath as you breathe in. And either keeping the belly relaxed or adding that abdominal contraction as you breathe out to squeeze a little more air out. And one more long, slow breath here. On the tail end of that breath, looking between the hands and either stepping or maybe taking a jump to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, standing tall. Second one, almost like the first, either skipping the push-up and making it just like the first, or adding vinyasa, a push-up, a back bend, and then back to down dog. Inhaling into Urdhva Hastasana, hands overhead pose. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to find length, the third position, and then either finding your down dog or elbows soft as you cycle through Chaturanga, a push-up. Inhaling into up dog or cobra, and then exhaling back to down dog and holding for 5 or 6 breaths. Long, smooth, deep, rich, and full breaths. As we hold this down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to the base of your throat. From that place, listening and feeling as your Ujjayi breath flows in and as your Ujjayi breath flows out. One more long, smooth, slow breath here. On the tail end of that breath, looking between your hands and either stepping or taking a jump to the front of the mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. Let's do one more Surya Namaskar. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, either stepping or jumping back, either finding your down dog or cycling through the push-up. Inhaling into the back bend. And then exhaling back to down dog and holding for 5 or 6 breaths. As we hold this down dog, I'll invite you to bend your knees ever so slightly to lift your tailbone just a little bit higher and keeping that height in the tailbone, re-straightening the legs as you feel a nice openness in the back of the knees. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. tail end of your breath, looking between your hands and either stepping or taking that jump front. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. Exhaling, folding. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. One more warm-up exercise. Surya Namaskar B, Sun Salutation B. It starts with Utkatasana, the chair pose. Knees over toes, hands over head. Exhaling, I'll invite you to take it lower, more strength in your legs. On the now rising on up, I'll suggest a little back bend at the top, open heart, open throat. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length as you look up. On the exhale, folding again, grounding down through the hands and either stepping or jumping back, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching back to down dog. And we'll proceed from there. From down dog, flow style. I'll invite you to bring big toes together, heels slightly apart, finding a three-legged dog, right leg high to the sky. High on the left toes, looking between the hands, lifting that lifted leg even higher, and then sweeping that right foot on through, spinning the back heel down, finding your balance, arms up and over the head for warrior one pose. And then on the exhale, spinning the palms out, finding low lunge, and from low lunge, cycling through vinyasa, if you choose, or just skipping that and finding your down dog. From down dog, second side, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes, looking between the hands, lifting that lifted leg even higher, and then sweeping that left foot on through, finding your warrior one, second side, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge, and then back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Another choice at any point in our practice is the child's pose, always finding that balance between your effort and your ease. From down dog, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Tail end of your breath, looking between your hands as you step or jump to the front of the mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, fold. On the inhale, stay low. We'll find our chair pose, knees over toes, hands over head. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, hands by our side. Let's do one more Surya Namaskar B. We'll introduce a hip opening sequence. We'll start with our chair pose. Inhaling. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length, and then breathing out back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. From down dog shape, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky for the three-legged dog. High on the left toes, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that right hip, and then looking between the hands, lifting that right knee even higher, and then sweeping that right foot on through, spinning the back heel down, finding your warrior one pose, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge, and then back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. From down dog shape, when you're ready, second side, big touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Now stacking the leg straight. Now bending that leg, opening up that left hip. And then looking between the hands, lifting that left knee even higher. And then sweeping that left foot on through, finding your warrior one, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And then back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. And again, always finding that balance between your stira, your effort, and your sukha, your ease. So, listening to your breath, you want to find that easeful quality, even if you're working super, super hard. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take that jump front. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, fold. On the inhale, finding your chair pose, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine, hands by our side. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart. And then hands by our side. Let's step or jump our feet hip width apart. I'll invite you to bring your hands to the back of your hips and just circling those hips 5 or 6 times. And then taking those hip circles the other way. Now coming back center, let's pretend we have an invisible set of hands. Invisible hands keep our hips relatively steady. Real hands find our shoulders. And just circling our shoulder girdle 5 or 6 times. Now taking those shoulder girdle circulations the other way. And then back to center. Arms high in the air like you either do or don't care. Let's take the shoulders one way, hips go the other. Breathing in 5 or 6 times. And breathing out. Breath free, steady, easy, and strong. And then taking hips the other way, shoulders go the other way, warming up our spines. And then back to center and hands by our side. Let's work through a standing sequence. We can start with our chair pose, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length, and then breathing out back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or just stretching straight back. Yogi's choice. So we'll move through that standing pose sequence. From down dog, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky for the 3-legged dog. High on the left toes. Lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that right hip. Looking between the hands, lifting that knee even higher. And then sweeping that right foot on through. Finding our warrior 1. Arms up and over the head. From here, let's set the pose a little bit here. As we bring hands back to our hips for more balance. We can scoot that back foot back, lining up the heels for more stretch in our legs. From here, we can take our hands to our shoulders, squaring the shoulders front. And now finding a clasp with the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, and then stretching those hands high to the sky. From here, we can straighten the front leg, palms face back, inhaling. On the exhale, finding this letter W shape with our arms. Let's do that a couple more times. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, opening up. This last one, let's hold. Breathing in. Breathing out and holding for a big breath into your heart. Let's turn warrior 1 into warrior 2. As hands find the heart, we open up the hips. We can adjust our stance for heel to arch alignment. And then finding one long arm looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, let's paint 3 rainbows, straightening that front leg, palm faces back, inhaling. On the exhale, warrior 2. A couple more times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, warrior 2. Now finding a rainbow warrior, a clasp of the fingers behind the back, shoulder blades back and down, open heart, open throat. And then finding a forward fold inside that front leg as you draw the shoulders up and back towards the hips. Release and relax the neck. Super, super heavy in the head. As we hold the shape, I'll invite you to add a little swing, a little sway as we release tension in the neck and shoulders. And then long through all sides of the neck as your head heavies down towards the earth. Another breath or two here. Coming up, I'll suggest a strong tuck of the chin to stretch out the back of the neck. Keeping that tuck as we bring it on up, coming back to our warrior two shape. Transitioning to extended side angle pose. Back hand finds the hip. Front forearm finds the top of the thigh of the bent front leg. From here, 4 steps on the top arm. We can let it hang down towards the floor. Just let it be super loose as any tension in the shoulders drains down through your fingers. From here, let's stretch that hand high to the sky, nice and open across the front of the heart. And now we're going to stretch the hand or the arm away from us for more space in our shoulder. And then keeping that sense of space as we sweep the hand front for extended side angle pose. From here, let's work with that top shoulder a little bit as we circle the hand back, tracing it with our eyes. Exhaling, letting it soften. A couple more times, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in. Now let's take those circles the other way. Exhaling and inhaling. Exhaling and inhaling. Last one here. Exhaling and inhaling and holding for a breath or two. Lots of length between that back foot and that top hand. Turning our heart to face the side wall, if not up to the sky. Feeling free to hang here or moving towards a balance challenge. As we bring hand to hip, we scoot the back foot in. We can walk that right hand forward, setting our base for the half moon. As we lift that back leg, setting the shoulder, stretching hand high. Either hanging out here long through the legs, long through the arms, long through the spine, or binding the half moon. As we bend the standing leg, we reach back to catch that back foot, and then kicking that foot into the hands as we open our heart up to the sky. Wherever you choose to work, long, smooth breaths in. Long, smooth breaths out. Those of you that chose to bind that back foot, releasing that foot carefully, bending the standing leg, back foot low. 2 feet find the floor from that place, coming back to your warrior two. And then from here, I'll suggest a big windmill of the arms as we find low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Again, working with your breath, your bodies, as they are right here, right now. And again, you can always sneak a child's pose in, let it be your practice. When you all are ready, we'll do our second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky for the three-legged dog. High on the right toes. Now stacking the hips, lifted leg straight. Now bending that top leg, opening up that left hip. Looking between the hands, lifting that knee even higher. And then sweeping that left foot on through as we find our warrior one, arms up and over the head. From here, let's work on this shape here. As we bring hands back to our hips, we go longer in our stance for more stretch in our legs, lining up the 2 heels. We can take our hands to our shoulders to square our shoulders front. Now finding a clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing head into the hands, open heart, open throat, 4th and 5th chakra, and then stretching those hands high to the sky. From here with the breath, straightening that front leg, palms face back, inhaling as we gather up the energy, exhaling as we offer it out. A couple more times, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in And breathing out, holding this shape. As we bring the elbows back, the hands come with more space, more freedom in our hearts. Now turning warrior one into warrior two as hands find the heart. We open up the hips. We can adjust the stance for heel to arch alignment. And then finding that one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with that steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, painting three rainbows, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Now turning our warrior two into the rainbow warrior, a clasp of the fingers behind the back, shoulder blades back and down, open heart, open throat, leading with that heart as we fold. And then as you draw the shoulders up and back towards the hips, release and relax the neck, letting the tension in the neck and shoulders drain down through the crown of the head into the earth, where it's gone, at least for now. And always finding that breath. Another one or two long, smooth breaths here. And then before we come up, I'll suggest a strong tuck of the chin to stretch out the back of the neck. Keeping that tuck as we bring it on up, coming back to our warrior two. From here, moving towards extended side angle, backhand finds the hip, front forearm finds the top of that bent front leg. 4 steps on the top arm. We can let it hang down towards the floor as we release and relax that shoulder. Now engaging as we stretch that hand high. Now stretching that hand away, that arm away from us, more space in our shoulders, and keeping that sense of space as we sweep that hand front. Lots of space between that back foot and that top hand. Further working with that shoulder. Inhaling, we circle the hands back. Exhaling, letting it soften. A couple more times this way, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling into the length, exhaling, let's take it the other way, exhaling, and exhaling, and inhaling. Last one this way, exhaling, and inhaling and holding. Now moving towards the balance challenge if you choose. Hand finds the hip. We step the back foot in, setting our base, left hand off to the left, lifting that back leg, stretching hand high, maybe spinning face to look up to the sky. And either hanging out here, or we can bind that top foot. As we bend the standing leg, we reach back to catch the foot, kicking the foot into the hands, open heart, open shoulder, maybe spinning face to look up. As we stretch out that quad, enjoying the breath, finding as much space in the shape as you can from the inside out. Those of you that chose to bind the back foot, I'll invite you to release it carefully, bending that standing leg, back foot low, 2 feet find the floor as we come back to our warrior two. And then I'll suggest a big windmill of the arms as we find low lunge, and from low lunge back to down dog as you will. And again, take your time. That's a strenuous sequence. Again, always finding that balance between effort and ease, and that's the one of the essences of the practice. From our down dog shape, of course, always feeling free to stay wherever you are. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or jump front. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling one more time tonight, coming back to our chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, hands by our side. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart and either keeping a light press of the palms or adding an isometric engagement as we press those palms hard, wide elbows, shoulders engaged, strong, steady, and centered in our core. And then hands by our side. From here, let's step or jump our feet hip width apart. On the inhale, let's bring the arms out to the side. On the exhale, bending the knees, we can cross the hands in front. Couple more, 6 times like this. And that was 2. And you're reversing the cross of the hands each time. And a couple more times each way. 1 more time each side. And then back up. And hands by our side. Let's play with the baby dancer this evening here. So shift weight onto left foot. You can turn those toes out just a little bit so our hips feel a little more easeful. We can let this opposite foot get light. We can lift up the foot, and we can reach back to catch the foot with the hand. So a little bit similar to the bound half moon, but our hips are facing front here. From here we can stretch other hand high. We can start to pitch the body forward as we kick that foot into the hand. As you kick the foot into the hand, deepening the back of the heart. Now coming on up, we can bring hand back to the hip. We can swing that thigh high. 2 hands find the hips without leaning back. We'll go long through that leg. And let's hold this for 3 or 4 breaths, strengthening our hip flexors. From here, let's sweep that foot through, coming back to our Warrior 1 prep, hands on the hips. From here, let's use those hands to square the shoulders. Now finding that clasp of the fingers behind the head, open heart, open throat. And then from this place, let's find a tray in front. From here, straightening the front leg as we draw energy into our center of balance. On the exhale, offering it out. And let's do this, breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out and holding this letter W shape for a big breath into your heart. Now hand finds the hip of that bent front leg. On the far side, breathing in, straightening the front leg, palm faces back as we reach up. And then rebending that front leg as we reach out. Let's do that a couple more times. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. And then breathing out, reach, reach, reach. Let's move towards revolved crescent lunge here. As we spin the back heel up, we bring our wrist inside or to the outside of the thigh. And then we find our elbow from this place, finding prayer hands. As you press those palms together, turning our heart and maybe our gaze up to the sky. Despite the balance challenge and the twist, still finding long, smooth breaths in. Long, smooth breaths out. Let's turn revolve crescent lunge into Parsvottanasana or pyramid pose as we frame front foot with both hands, coming out of the twist, stepping the back foot in, lining up the heels, and then straightening that front leg without locking the knee as we pour ourselves out over that front leg. Another great place to draw the shoulders up and back towards the hips as you relax the neck and heavy the head. As we hold Parsvottanasana or pyramid pose, I'll invite you to invite more energy, more prana into your hips. And we're not really swinging the hips side to side. We're just changing the orientation of the hips from Warrior 1 hips, the hips face front, to Warrior 2 hips, the hips face the side wall. And just back and forth with your body, with your hips, Make sure it feels good. And if you did want to add a little swing, a little sway side to side, no big deal. Let it be about your hips, your body, your breath. From here, moving towards a revolved triangle pose, and then we'll play with another balance challenge. Let's bring the hand of the front leg to the sacrum, the palm faces up, and we'll try to keep this sacrum nice and level. We're going to bring the other hand in towards the foot to challenge our balance. Trying to keep the hips level, we turn our heart towards a straight front leg. We can take that hand that was on the sacrum to set the shoulder. We can stretch that hand high to the sky, either keeping your drishti or eye focus down to the ground, off to the side, or up past those top fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. And again, despite the balance, despite the twist, still finding long, smooth breaths in. Long, smooth, easeful breaths out. No big deal. Feeling free to hold the revolved triangle, Parivrtta Trikonasana, or we can move towards our revolved half moon. Pretty much the same shape, but on one foot. As we bring our hand back to the sacrum, we take that back foot in and spin the heel up. We bring that front hand forward, nice wide and steady base here. Lifting that back leg, turning our heart to face a standing leg. We can set that shoulder, we can stretch hand high, maybe spinning face to look up to the sky. Very, very challenging pose. If you fall out of it, no big deal. Just trying it is 80% of the work. And one more long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail end of that breath. We're going to come down with grace and control. Hand comes back to the sacrum. We land that back foot lightly as we find our low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa, stretching straight back, or making another choice instead. It's all about you. And of course, feeling free to stay wherever you are. Moving on from down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step, or maybe take that jump front. When we get here, let's set length in our spine. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding. Now let's hold this forward fold as we widen our base, so the feet a little bit farther apart, and we can catch opposite elbows, and then just gently swaying your body from side to side. Just releasing your back, getting into those hips again. Now switching the cross of the elbows, keep swaying side to side. And let's treat our low backs with some kindness here. As we release the elbows, hands find the thighs, and we can work an assisted roll-up. Chin is tucked as we masterfully stack our vertebrae. Lifting the chin tall to the crown, I'll invite you to bring two hands high in the air as if you're holding a big ball. And let's take 3 big full-body breaths. Our fingers and hands can mimic our ribs. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And then I'll invite you to bring hands to heart and either keeping that light press of the palms as you relax the shoulders, letting the weight of your body settle into your feet, or adding that isometric engagement as we press the palms hard together, wide elbows, shoulders engaged. And then hands by our side. So let's jump it in thin like a pin. And then we can jump it back out, feet hip width apart. From here, let's inhale our hands to one side. On the exhale, we'll bend the knees and bring the hands through center. On the inhale, finding that other side. And let's do 6 of these. Each piece has 2 sets, inhaling and exhaling. And halfway done. Another couple each way. One more each side. And then back up and hands by our side. From here, let's move towards that dancer on our second side. So make sure you're on the second side. If you mess that up, no worries, it happens to all of us. Shifting weight onto the other foot. Again, you might angle the toes out just a little bit, give your hips a little more space to work. That far foot gets a little bit light. We lift it on up, we reach back and catch the foot with the hand, lining up the knees, moving towards the baby dancer, other hand high, and then we start to pitch the body forward. Feel free to stop at any point. And then at a certain point, kicking that foot into the hand to deepen the back of the heart, holding for 3 or so breaths. From here, we can sweep this foot, or we can come back to center. We can bring hand to hip. Now we can swing this thigh high, and without leaning back, we can go long through the leg. Try to keep those shoulders relaxed. From here now, we can sweep this foot through, lining up the heels as we find warrior one prep. Hands find the hips. From here, squaring the shoulders. From here, that clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then finding that tray in front, breathing in as we gather energy into our center of balance. On the exhale, offering it out. 2 more times, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, and holding for a big breath into your heart. Now hand finds the hip of the bent front leg. We can find length on the other side, reaching up and then reaching out. Reaching up and then reaching out. Reaching up and then reach, reach, reach. Now let's move towards revolved crescent lunge here as we spin the back heel up for more space in the shape. We can start with the wrist. We can slide to the elbow, either keeping hand on hip or finding your prayer hands. And as you press those palms together, shoulder blades back and down, opening our heart up to the sky, maybe shifting your gaze up past that top elbow. Again, despite the balance, despite the twist, still finding your breath, still finding that oasis of ease in the midst of your effort. And one more long, smooth, slow breath here. Now we're going to turn the twisted crescent lunge into Parsvottanasana, the hamstring stretch, also called the pyramid pose. So from the twist, we come out, hands frame the front foot. We step the back foot in, lining up the heels, and without locking that front knee, straightening the front leg as we pour ourselves out and over that leg. Lower body super, super engaged, upper body super loose, super flaccid, save for that effort of the shoulders up and back towards the hips as we find more length in all sides of the neck. Head super, super heavy as the forehead moves towards that shin. Now inviting more prana, more flow, more life force into our hips. And it's not really a swinging of the hips side to side. It's more an orientation of the hips front and then out to the side. Front and out to the side. I'll let you go your pace, your hips, your body, your breath. Just doing what feels right and good. And at a certain point, maybe you add a little swing, a little sway. It's really up to you. Up to your hips, just listening to your hips. And of course, respecting whatever your hips have to say tonight. Now coming back to that place where the hips face that front foot, we'll move towards Parivrtta Trikonasana as we bring the hand to the front leg to the sacrum. The palm faces up as if we're holding water. We don't want to spill that water as we walk the other hand in. Still not spilling that water, hips stay level as we turn heart towards straight front leg. We can set the shoulder, we can stretch hand high, either looking down to the ground, off the side, or up past those top fingers with that steady yet relaxed gaze. Again, super hard pose. I believe it's the hardest of the standing poses on 2 feet that most people do. So yeah, take your time. If you fall out of it, no big deal. Again, 80% of what we do in yoga is just going for it, just trying it out, putting your body in a different shape than it may have been in other times for a day, and coming to these shapes on a regular basis. We find more space, more freedom in our bodies. Now the balance challenge, if you choose, as we turn revolved triangle into the revolved half moon. We bring hand back to the sacrum. We spin the back heel up. We walk that front hand forward for a nice solid steady base, lifting that back leg, turning our heart to face a standing leg. We can set the shoulder, we can stretch hand high, maybe spinning face. So look up to the sky. If it doesn't work, bring your gaze back down to the ground. You might just play with that, just warming up your neck, warming up your shoulders. Let it be loose, let it be liquid. And wherever you took your body and mind to, coming back to the ground. So we can bring hand back to the sacrum, we can bend the standing leg, we can step that back foot back, hands frame the front foot as we find our low lunge, and from low lunge back to down dog, as you will, maybe cycling through vinyasa, maybe choosing the child's pose instead, maybe an all four shape. Again, it's your practice, you're at home, you can do whatever you want, just make sure it feels good. From down dog, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding. Let's hold this forward fold again as we widen our base, catching opposite elbows and gently swaying ourselves from side to side. Switching across of the elbows, keep swaying side to side. And then back to center. And again, let's do our backs a favor here as we bring hands to thighs. As we push the hands into the thighs, chin is tucked as we masterfully roll ourselves up. From here, 2 hands high in the air as if we're holding a big ball. Hands and fingers mimic our ribs as we take a big breath in and a big breath out. Big breath in, big breath out. One more here, big breath in, big breath out. And then again, bringing hands to heart, either keeping a light press of the palms as your weight collects in your feet, or adding that isometric engagement, strong in the center as we press those palms together. And then hands by our side. So let's work some breath exercises. We want to keep our lungs super, super strong. As always, I'll invite you to make 2 fists with the hands and to bring the fists just below the navel. On the inhale, we can trace a line from the navel through the heart. We can turn the chin up as we release the fists and press palms up to the sky, exhaling through the mouth. Circling the hands around, forming those fists, tracing a line through the heart. And let's do 6 of these. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. 2 more to go. Inhaling. Exhaling. 1 more here. Inhaling. Exhaling. And then hands by our side. Still working with this lung strengthening theme. We're going to turn to one side. As we inhale, we'll press one hand up, one hand down. We'll come through center and we'll find the other side. It looks like this. Inhale to prepare. Exhale. And the inhale, turning to one side. One hand presses up, one hand presses down. Exhaling through center. Inhaling the other way. And let's do 6 of these. It has 2 sides. Inhaling. Exhaling through center. Halfway done. Two more each side. One more each way. And then back to center. Hands by our side. On this next one, a stationary shooting the honk to both sides. And we want to focus on our back lungs here. So feet are hip width apart, if not a little bit wider. You might find a horse stance as you turn the toes out. We exhale. And on the inhale, we turn to one side. We're going to push one hand out. We'll pull the other hand back like we're firing a bow and arrow. Exhaling through center, and then finding that other side. And we'll do 6 of these. Halfway done. Two more each way. One more each side. And then back to center. Hands by our side. On this next one, free and easy breath. We're going to keep the breath free and easy. Yeah, so it's not a directed breath, but we're going to warm up some of the muscles that surround our lungs, keeping everything loose, keeping everything liquid. As we bring hands to our shoulders, leaning a little bit further. One shoulder front and then the other. And let's do 6 of these. Another couple this way. And then taking it the other way. Last one. And then back to center. One more breath exercise before we come to the floor for a short prone back bending sequence. So I'll allow you to roll our spines down. So we want to dip the chin, we soften the shoulders. We start to roll ourselves down, the knees are super, super soft. When we get down there, we can make 2 fists with the hands. As we breathe in, we can puff up our back body. As we breathe out, spinning the palms front as we relax the back body. And let's do 6. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. 2 more to go. Breathing in, breathing out. Last one, breathing in, breathing out. And then we can roll ourselves on up, either having hands on thighs for the assist or lots of core engagement as we masterfully stack our vertebrae, lifting the chin tall to the crown one more time. 2 hands high in the air for 3 big full body breaths. And then one more time. Hands find the heart, either keeping a light press of the palms or adding that isometric engagement as we spread those elbows wide, strong, strong, strong in our center. And then hands by our side. So let's come down to the floor for the floor sequence. I'm going to bring the camera with. Hopefully that is not overly complicated. Cool. All right. How's everybody doing? Time to chill it out. We don't have too much more to go here, but let's stay and work hard in a few more poses here. So we're on our belly. I'll suggest a cross of the forearms and just letting your forehead be super, super heavy on those cross forearms. It's called the crocodile, Makrasana. A little bit of a back bend here, so just breathing into the back of your heart. Great place to connect with your breath. Your body has no choice but to rise and fall as you breathe. From here, let's move towards a Sphinx pose. As we bring our elbows under our shoulders, spreading those fingers wide, shoulder blades back and down. As we hold the Sphinx, let's warm up the low back as we rock from hip point to hip point. Doesn't have to be a big movement. Make sure it's the right movement for you. Now adding the upper back to the equation. When we roll to one hip, we can dip a shoulder front. And then other side. Now adding the neck. When we dip a shoulder, we turn the head away, and other side. Now adding rotation, when we turn to one shoulder, we can look over that shoulder as we connect the crown of our head to the base of our spines. And then from this place, let's come center, lining up the ears with the shoulders with the hips. And then I'll invite you to pull back with the hands to lengthen front heart. And then finding the other cross of the forearms and letting yourselves be super, super heavy on the floor. From here, let's borrow one from the Pilates syllabus as we come back to our Sphinx pose. From here, I'll invite you to make 2 fists with the hands, pressing the fists together as we spread those elbows wide. From here, we can try to kick a glute as we point a toe, exhaling, looking over a shoulder, inhaling, come through center. And it looks like this. Inhale to prepare. And on the exhale, inhale through center, other side. And back and forth, let's do 6. Halfway done. Last 2 each way. One more each side. And then back to center, releasing the fist, pulling back with the hands to lengthen front heart. And then this time turning your head to one side as we bring our hands by our hips, the palms face up, and just resting and relaxing on the floor. Now turning your head the other way. Notice how your neck feels on the side. Most of us have a preferred side. Most of us don't go there first. But just identifying that's part of our yoga, just learning about our bodies, how that works. Left and right, front to back, top and bottom. And let's borrow one more from the Pilates people here. So I'm going to suggest you find an assisted push-up. As we ground down through the chin, we bring our hands under our shoulders. We can start with an inchworm. As we keep the knees down, the chin stays down, but we lift up the hips. And then keeping the hips lifting the whole time as we press into the hands to lift the back of the heart. And then stretching back to a child's pose, sits bones back to the heels. Let's work the arms in extension as we stretch out those shoulders. In our child's pose, I'll invite you to gently rock your hips side to side, stretching out your low back. Let it feel good. And then let's come back center and find an all-fours position on the floor here. From here, let's work the cat-dog stretch. Breathing in, lifting chin and tail. On the exhale, tucking toes, tucking tail, tucking chin as we round the spine. And let's do this a few times. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, rounding it in. Let's do one more like this before we add on. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, rounding it in. Let's add a child's pose. Breathing in, lifting up. And then big toes touch, heels slightly apart. We round the spine. Sits bones back to the heels. Now let's do this a couple of times. More times. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, drawing it back. Let's add side to side. Breathing in, lifting up. And then rounding the spine as we draw sits bones back to a heel. Other side, breathing in, coming up center. And then rounding the spine as we go to that other heel. 2 more times each way. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, taking it back. 1 more time each side, breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, rounding it back. Let's throw a figure 8 into the mix. Breathing in, coming up center. Drawing it back to a heel. Keep the hips low, finding that other heel. Up on the other diagonal, shifting shoulders and hips. and back to first heel. 2 more times this way, breathing in and breathing out. 1 more time this way, breathing in and breathing out. Now let's take that figure 8 the other way, up on the other diagonal, shifting shoulders and hips and back to second heel. 2 more times in this direction, breathing in and breathing out. 1 more time, breathing in and breathing out. And then back to an all-fours position. Let's get to our down dog with the cat dog stretch, feet hip width apart. We can walk the hands just a little bit front. Take a breath to lift chin and tail, and then tucking the toes, rounding the spine, tailbone high, high, high. And then keeping the tailbone high, finding neutral spine as you stretch those heels down. I'll invite you to walk your dog as we bend one leg deeply, grounding down through the opposite heel. Finding that same stretch on the second side. Back and forth between the sides. And let's do one more hard thing before we lay down and relax as we find our plank position. And we kick a foot up to the sky with a pointed toe. On the exhale, flexing the foot. A couple more times, we're breathing in and breathing out. Let's do 6 actually. Halfway done. Last 2 each way. Last one. And then from this place, finding a child's pose, this time with a cross of the forearms, just letting yourselves be super, super heavy. And then I'll invite you to come down onto your backs. And we're almost at 7:30 here, so I'm not going to... I'm going to let you find your Shavasana and hold it as long as you'd like. And then I will turn off the live stream. So just finding your Shavasana, flattening the shoulders, long through all sides of the neck. Releasing Jiva Bandha, tongue is now neutral in your mouth. A slight part to the lips, but still breathing in and out through the nose. Initially focusing on your breath. And then as we start to hold the shape, even letting that focus on the breath soften as we take our senses inside. Feeling free to hold that Shavasana as long as you'd like. I'm going to end this particular session with me, and then, of course, you've got your own yoga practice, which is the most important thing here. I'm going to ring these bells 3 times. And whether you're flat on your back or in a cross-legged position, I invite you to thank yourself for practicing yoga, and I invite you to offer our practice out to each other and out to the world. Namaste. Thank you for joining me this evening, and we'll see you all real soon.